Beyond data transparency, how industry cooperation improves choice for farmers. Our moderator today is Eric Hawley. And Eric is a requirements manager for data interoperability topics at AGCO Corporation and a member of the AEF's Ag Task Force. Additionally, he serves as an AGCO Foundation's Employee Advisor member for North America, where he is heavily involved in cultivating career opportunities for youth in digital agriculture. Eric was born and raised in rural Manitoba, where he graduated with a degree in biosystems engineering from the University of Manitoba. Welcome.
Thank you. Okay, pass it along. Okay, so that was, thank you for the introduction. I'm very excited to be here today because we're talking about something that I'm quite passionate about, which is the freedom of choice in agricultural equipment and technology for farmers. And with me today are others who believe the same thing. We have Bob Cochran from the Agricultural Manufacturers of Canada, your current chairman. We have Norbert Schlingmann, the general manager of the Agricultural Industry Electronics Foundation, flying from Europe to join us here today. We have Slawi Stesny, also from Europe, next door to the Fent factory. So he's with us at AGCO. And then we have Austin Gellings coming from across the border to join us as well to show unison between Canada, Europe, and the United States. And he is the Senior Director of the Association of Equipment Manufacturers, which supports members across North America and the world. So maybe before we get started, I wanted to get kind of a sense of the audience. How many of you would consider yourselves a mixed fleet or rainbow farm? Yeah. Okay. And how many of you have ever had a problem with technology on your farm? Yeah. Okay. Okay. That's good. So I think we've heard it all. But we're going to share a couple of stories, and I'll start with Bob. Bob, can you share some stories from your experience about technology on the farm?
Yeah. Thanks, Eric. And when I think about this from the perspective of our manufacturer members of AMC, these were inventors in solving on-farm problems. And it's so important to our manufacturer members to be able to have communication between pieces of equipment. The majority of our manufacturer members they manufacture implements. Those implements have to be pulled by a tractor. It's pretty important that those two pieces talk to each other. And anybody on farm experiences that. And we have a savvy bunch of business people in these manufacturer organizations, and they will find a way to figure it out. But if they don't talk easily to each other, they need to spend time and resources to do that, right? And when we're spending time doing reverse engineering, trying to figure out ways to make equipment talk to each other, we're not innovating. It's a real resource burn. And I've heard repeated stories from farmers, from producers that we work with that say, I just want this piece of equipment to talk to this piece of equipment and be able to use the data that I'm collecting on my farm. And that's quite a challenge as manufacturers to be able to work through that. And that's why we're here today.
Okay, maybe just jumping to Austin for 1 second. So we're hearing the perspective from Canadian manufacturers. Austin, can you tell us a little bit about your role in North America and what you've seen from your members?
Yeah, so I would just echo what Bob said. I think that, when we talk about this challenge of making equipment work on the farm, it's common here in Canada, here in the U.S., across North America. Europe, it's a challenge that the industry has faced, for quite a while now, and we're working towards that. I think that equipment manufacturers, our role is to solve problems. Our role is to provide solutions to help enable farmers to do their job and do it well. At the end of the day, farmers just want to farm, right? And so, in order to do that, we need technology that works seamlessly with each other in order to provide them options and tools so that they can do that. Jumping
next to Slawi, so you're coming from Europe. what has been your experience? Does everything work flawlessly in Europe?
So in Europe, we see that the companies have recognized how important this data exchange is. And so I would say that most, but not even all, shortliners manufacturers support isobus standards and technology, where the pulling machine tractor talks with implements. And we see that this benefits that environment, makes it innovative, that implement manufacturers get more and more features into their implements, and with that increase drastically the performance of farms.
Norbert, do you think you can dig deep a little bit into the farm perspective and then maybe tell us a little bit about why the AEF was founded, what it is, and what it's about?
Yeah, thanks, Eric, for the question. First of all, I would like to repeat what Bob said a few minutes ago. It's all about communication between tractor and implement. I have a question for all of you who have ever heard about the expression isobus. Raise your hands, come on. All right, a lot of you have heard about isobus. So that's what IAF is doing. We developed in the last couple of years the specification together with the ISO organizations, this fancy communication protocol between a tractor and implement. Why we did this, it's clear. You mentioned it, and you ask about rainbow farms. That is a pretty nice term. I never heard about it in Europe. So what are rainbow farms? For all of you who are not familiar with that, rainbow farms have machines from different manufacturers. And a tractor from manufacturer A and an implement from B has to be connected. Otherwise, the farmer will have a problem during his season. So that's what we did 25 years ago, or nearly 25 years ago. The industry starts with that. AEF was formed 2008 from 7 ag manufacturers like John Deere, AGCO, Claas, CNH, Quenneland, Kubota, and few others. In addition, AEM, the German organization VDMA, and a few others put their heads together these days and started AEF. Today, we are organized in up to 19 project teams. Our main work is to guarantee compatibility between tractor and implement. That's what our main job is. I'm not talking about data exchange, that will come later, but the basics, that are the basics. Communication between tractor and implement has to work. Sure, within one brand, it's working. They are using other protocols, but between different colors of machines, it has to work for the farmer, and that's what we did the last couple of years, and that's what we are doing.
Thanks for sharing that. Bob, can you tell us, obviously we've seen a lot of isobus recognition here. Can you tell us from the Canadian perspective what AEF is, how it's being perceived today?
Yeah, so some of our manufacturer members are members of AEF today. So there is some familiarity with who AEF is and their purpose in Canada. Many of our manufacturers are not currently AEF members. I think that there's been a major transformation. The importance of data is, it's becoming increasingly important. The importance of interoperability, it's always been there. When I started in this business over 30 years ago, I mentioned it yesterday in another meeting, the most important thing was the tractor hitch size and the hydraulics at the back of the tractor. And if we had to put a small controller into the tractor to run a sprayer or a seeder or even a combine at that time, a pull-type combine, it was really not a big deal. Now it's a big deal. And so I think that out of necessity, from the producer's perspective and the manufacturer's perspective, we have to make this a priority. And it's not, as I said before, it's not that we won't figure it out individually on our own, but collectively with that AEF community, it just makes it that much easier, and we can just accelerate development and be part of that association. So I think that uptake in this collaborative approach with the groups that we have down here today, and that we've been spending the week together and networking together just provide a lot of opportunities in Canada to push this forward.
So just hopping to you, Austin, for a second. So you're leading the charge in the U.S. Can you tell us a little bit about when that started in the U.S. and how that's been progressing?
Yeah, I think, when you look at it, specific to the U.S., I think that it's been a similar journey to Canada, right? AEM was involved with AEF right from the very beginning at its founding, because we understand that, and our members understand the need for interoperability, and we heard the needs of farmers, right? And it's been a slow progression for a number of reasons, but we continue to get there. Our members are committed, and we continue to work on that. And we understand that it's kind of the backbone to what we want to do moving forward as well, and to what the future of the industry looks like, whether it's looking all the way forward to things like autonomy, or even looking at some of the solutions that are available today that help solve the problems that farmers are facing today in terms of productivity, efficiency, improving margin, right? There are a lot of technologies that are available, and all of the work that's happening within AEF kind of serves as the backbone to that, and to enable farmers to be able to utilize it.
Yep. So, Norbert, you talked about when AEF was founded. What's the penetration of AEF in Europe?
So we have lots of members in Europe. I don't know how many members. As Bob said, we have few of them here in Canada. It could be more, and that's why we are here this week. So all the countries in Europe, nearly all manufacturers are members of AEF, because they face the same problems as here, rainbow farms, so it has to be work. Communication between tractor and implement, I mentioned it, but this is essential. And when we are fine with this communication, we can do another step, the next step, the transition into faster communication, the transition into wireless, the transition into a better data exchange. That's what that's on our roadmap, and we are starting this way, but we are not ready with that.
So I think something we talk about a lot in Manitoba is data literacy and data transparency. We also, on the flip side of that, we talk about cloud-to-cloud connectivity and data platforms. Is the AEF only about implement in tractors, or does it have technology to go beyond that? And maybe I'll ask Slawi this question.
So AEF has a long history in this interoperability of tractors and implements. While we have then seen that OEMs and manufacturers started to develop their own cloud solutions and connected their equipment to these platforms, and users gained benefit from them. What has been discovered over time, and AEF was also sitting on top of it, that it cannot remain isolated. So as we see that machines and implement benefit from a collaborative setup where data exchange accelerates innovations, that faced also the situation with the platforms. And so AEF started already 6, 7, 8 years ago to work on that topic, but it required really a long journey to get everyone on board and to find the right concept and architecture that scales and fits the purpose for the sector. And now we are facing with the initiative along with AEF, AGCO, an approach which fulfills all the requirements. And I guess we can be really proud that this technology will become available end of this year, and all those that are working on their IoT solutions, clouds, platforms, can get easily connected based on a standard without having the need to knock on all the doors from these OEMs and manufacturers and validate how can I get connected to your platform to provide my digital services to the farmer, but instead to develop their solution against a standard, test it, and run it immediately into the market, getting interoperable with 20, 30, 40 other partners by having just one implementation done.
Okay. So I'm from Manitoba. I'm going to put on, my hobby farmer hat and, be a little bit skeptical. I have a tendency to be concerned about silver bullets. And what you've presented is an opportunity to connect every cloud, every technology platform, opportunities and use cases where we can both collaborate and advance the sector and do it in a seamless, efficient way. So what's the catch? What's the cost to farmers? What are they going to experience with this? Maybe Norbert, you can.
Yeah, maybe we have to start from the scratch. What problem we are facing? All of your farms have, as we stated already, different machines on your farm. So different tractors. Let us start with tractors from 2 brands. And what is your wish? To get data from this platform, from this tractors. But that's not possible. When you select or have chosen a platform of your choice from manufacturer A, you have not access to the data for platform B, for tractor B. And this is what we are solving at the moment, that you have the possibility as farmer connect your machines to platform A of your choice, and platform A will get data from the other manufacturer. That is behind the agricultural interoperability network, what Slawi said, AgIN. We are establishing a network where you as farmer can get data for all your machines independently. It's telemetry data, work order, work management, essential use cases you need to do your job, to be efficient, to be on the point with your data, get back everything and can use it forever you would like to use. And this is what we are doing, and that is a big challenge for us. And few companies already are working on that, and we are extending this from months to months until we launch it end of this year.
Fantastic. So it's not just implement and tractor. We can connect the clouds. We can build new use cases to give you choice, whether it's technology or implements. But let's bring it back down to Canadian context. Bob, you've talked about where we're at with members, where we're at for awareness now. Now we've presented kind of the gold standard of the future of connectivity and interoperability for the market. So what do you see as the next steps for your members or for the emerging technology scene to learn or to discover or to improve and reach that standard?
Yeah, good question. And I'd say a logical first step is getting involved in these associations. So, becoming a part of AEF and participating at that level. I know that if we have ECUs on our equipment, so many of our manufacturers now are using some sort of control system and are somehow accumulating data. And many of them are also thinking about this cloud solution. So it's a good time. It's a good time. And in some ways, we're probably too late. But in other ways, we're probably, it's good timing to get on this and to participate actively now, because in 4 or 5 years' time, when if we each take our individual paths and develop our own cloud solutions and don't actively participate to a standard, it's just going to create a lot more work, because inevitably the producers, I expect on my brother's grain farm, we would absolutely expect it. We're going to demand this. And the reality in Canada, there's 2 realities. One is that the farms are getting bigger, and that it's quite typical that we're not running one combine, one sprayer, or one seeder on our farm. In many cases, it's multiples. Could be 10s and 12s. And we should never expect the producer to have to be forced. They may make the choice to pick one color, but they should never be forced into making that decision just because of the importance of the data. The other reality is that We live in a climate where we only have so many days to get the crop in the ground and to get the crop off. And it has to work. And it's very quick as a producer. If I'm in the combine seat and I know that it's going to rain tomorrow and the data if the things are not communicating properly, I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep combining. I'm not going to stop and wait for the data to catch up. So with those realities in mind, I think as manufacturers, we need to be part of this and work towards it, right now, so that we have these solutions going forward, given the advancements and how fast technology's evolving in the farm equipment machinery space.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to keep you for a second. So, what I took away is we should have started yesterday, but today is the best day to start. And it's super important for just choice on the farm, but also super important looking to the future of how to integrate the technology and move your data where you need to move it throughout your operation. So that really paints a great picture for the domestic context. Can you speak from the AMC perspective about some of your goals in a global market perspective and what it would mean or what you would expect or require if you're trying to approach these opportunities?
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that too. This is an excellent opportunity for AMC and promoting, some of our initiatives, and our overall goal is to bring Canadian innovation to the world. So, very important producer group in this room, but it's a portion of the business that our Canadian manufacturers serve. So we do produce equipment that is in use all over the world, and we need to be able to communicate in those platforms at an international level. And when we're able to, bring our game up and say, yes, we are compatible with these systems around the world, it just makes access to those markets. It's just one barrier that gets eliminated, right? It just gives us these opportunities to compete in Australia and Eastern Europe and Western Europe and South America, and to bring our equipment all around the world. And so, yeah, we would certainly encourage that, and that aligns with our initiatives to continue to expand our footprint as Canadian manufacturers all around the world.
Fantastic. So, Norbert, what's been the reaction to Ag-In? Obviously, you introduced it at Agritechnica. What were member reactions so far?
That's a good question. So the majority of our members are completely fine. They love this program. They see a possibility to exchange data on a very simple way. Instead, as Slawi said before, instead of integrating all the different APIs from all the different manufacturers, what they are doing today, they need only one connector, so one interface, what we are developing for the whole industry. That makes it easier for everybody to implement this into their own cloud system. Whatever is behind, we don't care. We generated already one interface for everybody. And we have seen at Agritechnica 5 presentations where 5 companies have shown how they integrated this solution into their cloud system. I will not name these companies here. They are all on our website, and they are moving forward. And we got very strong statements from one of the major companies, 2 of the major companies, which are here on the show as well, moving forward in that direction it would be a big step in the right direction.
Okay. Well, maybe building on that last comment, Slawi, taking off your AEF hat, putting on your AGCO hat, what has driven our business towards this implementation? Why are you so passionate about the subject?
Also looking back to the feedback we received on Agritechnica, and looking into the past, as it took us really years to make a concept that fulfills the requirement, as AGCO trying to implement such a solution on our own, I'm not sure whether we would be able to do it alone. So in AF, we found expertise. We found really experts that contributed over years to this solution, and everyone can benefit from it now. And without bothering about all these connections and how to make this data space things happen, just benefit from a solution, get it integrated, and focus on the features you really wanted by the farmers, so that at the end, the farmer benefits from more performant and more competitive OEMs and software providers in this sector. And we see also that in the past, when we have worked together on interfaces between two players, so a bilateral connection, we were talking with that one partner about features. Now we have a community. So we develop features into this environment. Everyone can use it. We can scale with totally different setups, with several players interconnecting their different solutions while improving really with a focus now on the solution itself and not maintaining these dozens of interfaces anymore. So we see a huge acceleration, and on Agritechnica, on this, in November last year, we stopped talking about the concept architecture, but focused now on the discussion about the next use cases and how to bring them to life to benefit from those. And we spent some days now here in Canada. It was really interesting to face the ideas here, and immediately we thought, come join our team, let's talk about it, bring it to life, bring it to the farmer, let's do it together now. And I guess with this really very low hurdle now to get this interconnection done, everyone feels should really motivated to participate.
Yeah, I think that's very exciting. So, we talked about this silver bullet idea, and what you might think is the only weakness of the interoperability network is actually its greatest strength, is what you're sharing, is that on our own, developing this type of technology is a very hard pillar to surmount. But through the AEF, multiple organizations are contributing, and now the pace of technology that is impacting farmers here and internationally is just picking up. So it's great that Bob says we should be on it yesterday, and it's great that it is such an open community that you can get involved. Austin, can you tell us a little bit about some of the events that the AEF hosts and what that looks like from a new member perspective? What are the learnings?
Yeah, I mean, twice a year AEF hosts what they call Plug Fest. They hold one in North America. This year it'll be in Milwaukee, Wisconsin in March. And they also hold one in Europe as well. And it's an opportunity for equipment manufacturers to come together to essentially do what the name suggests, plug their equipment together, not physical equipment, but to ensure it works and to identify if there is a problem, sit there and solve that problem together and work together to make sure that it's working. And I think that it's an important aspect. Beyond that, it's just important for AEF to come to events like this, right, and have conversations with folks here in Canada and other regions of the world as well to educate. To understand, as an equipment manufacturer that this exists, that there's an opportunity to engage and come together as a community to solve problems, and as a farmer to understand that this exists as well, right? And for you to bring this back to your dealers and to the manufacturers that you work with to ask questions, because that's what's ultimately going to drive this. And it's about everybody understanding that, the industry is moving this way, and as we have more technology, it's going to become more integral that we have this both from a data standpoint, but even I think you got to start with the hardware side of things as well. We've got to solve problem one before we move to problem two, and so it's a journey, and it's a journey that doesn't matter if we're here in Canada or if you're in South America, U.S., Europe. We're all along this journey together.
Yeah, so that's great. I think of my personal experience, and I started on the grain storage side of the farming community, the engineering community. And so when I joined the tractor business, I had not a lot of experience. And the first thing they did is set me up with the AEF. And it's amazing to work with your peers in the industry, and you ramp up so quickly it's such an open community of sharing and technology exchange in a neutral way. There's certainly there are barriers to what we share, but of course, there's a lot of excitement and interest to work with your peers. Now, obviously, this is for manufacturers, for engineers. What are the drivers that make isobus and some of these technologies actually emergent? And Bob, can you tell us a little bit about what is it that is going to drive the acceleration of this technology in Canada?
Producers, because the farmers want it. And I will declare that I was trained as an engineer, and that might, now some farmers are kind of come down and give me a rough time, but as an engineer in the field on a farm, there's nothing worse than being in this situation where the data doesn't, like I start to have this, I feel anxiety right now even thinking about it. Young engineers on farm and it doesn't work. It just like, it causes me great stress. And maybe that's why I'm not doing that anymore and I'm selling instead. But I think that is ultimately what's going to drive it, Eric, is that the producers are going to demand it. And the other thing I'd say to producers in the room is that I think there's days where we're on the farm and we think that maybe the manufacturers, mainliners, shortliners, that they don't really care about this, that this isn't important. This is so important to our businesses that if we don't figure it out, it will cost us, right? So we're highly motivated. Like, if nothing else, like I'm emotionally tied to it because we're farmers in Canada, but I'm also, there's financial decisions and risks here too, that if we don't do it, not only on our farms, you guys are making decisions as producers to use the data because it's gonna save you money or make you money. And the same applies as manufacturers, and ultimately, and I would even include government, because I think there's some government officials in the crowd, they care very much about this as well. And when you get government and academia as well, should put them in there too. So when you get government, academia, industry, and producers, all with the same motivation to solve a problem, we will figure this out. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
Well, just building off that energy, Norbert, we heard it yesterday, we heard it throughout the week. There's a big push for autonomy. Can you paint what that picture looks like?
First of all, before I answer this question, who thinks that we will have autonomous driving on field in 10 years? Come on, raise your hand. Okay. A lot of people think that this is the case. Do you know what is necessary for that? Are we prepared already for autonomy? I don't think so. We have seen lots of autonomous tractors on fields. But what about, and all the tractors are equipped with isobus, pretty well equipped with isobus here in Canada and in other parts of the world. But what about the implements? An autonomous tractor has not a driver, or? No. Otherwise, it would not be an autonomous tractor. So autonomous tractors needs implements, smart implements. It's a buzzword, a smart implement? I don't think so. So what is a smart implement? A smart implement can deal with autonomous tractors. Lots of new sensors. Isobus is needed to connect to the tractor, the power unit, or an autonomous tractor. Some people are talking about power units instead of the word tractor. And so we are on the way to convince the industry, the smaller companies who are up to implements. There are a lot of them here in Canada, we learned this week, and in all parts of the world, to invest in that direction, to update their machines in direction of isobus, to be prepared for autonomous tractor and implement on fields. We can talk a lot of times about autonomous tractor. A tractor is nothing without an implement. That is a working machine, and so we need both real equipped with technology to be working autonomously on fields.
Okay, so we painted the producer need, we painted the growth opportunity that's coming from autonomy. We know why we need autonomy here. Maybe, Austin, what are we hearing from a North American perspective? Why is autonomy Why do we all think autonomy is coming so quickly?
I mean, because it's kind of a necessity. I mean, if I were to, I'm going to ask a question. How many farmers are in the crowd? Can you raise your hand if you're a farmer, by chance? So a decent amount. So if I were to ask you, what are some of your top problems? First thing you'll probably say is, the cost that I'm getting for my crop. But one of those problems is probably labor too. It's the availability of not just labor, but skilled labor, people that know how to operate the machine. And autonomy is one of those solutions to kind of help that. And it's not only a solution to help kind of segment labor. I don't think we're replacing any jobs, right? Because with autonomy, because ultimately you're still going to need somebody to manage that. Instead, we're filling jobs that we can't fill anyways, and we're helping increase the on-farm efficiency, productivity, giving folks more time and availability, and also drawing people into our industry by being technologically advanced. And it's not dull, dirty, dangerous jobs anymore. It's an interesting, innovative job to work on a farm now. And so I think, why is autonomy coming? Because it's needed. It's important to be able to just produce in general, but also compete on a global stage as well.
Okay, so producers need autonomy. Yet to autonomy, we have a Canadian advantage of creating smart implements. But to get to smart implements, we need interoperability in data exchange. That is our Canadian advantage. That's our Canadian opportunity, and we see a pull for that both here and in international markets. So I agree with you, Bob. Starting yesterday is a great idea. But second best idea is starting today, of course. So with that, I want to thank our panelists, and then I would like to open it up to the audience if there are any questions for the group here. So quick thank you. Any questions from the audience? Thank you.
Yeah, hi there. Thanks for taking the question. A couple of you alluded to it. There's nothing worse than an electronic system that doesn't work. You don't know why. If you've got a broken wire, or they won't talk to each other, and sometimes it's basic things. So yeah, anyway, quick comment. I'm of course older, and the younger fellows on the farm know how to run things better than I do, but still exposed to it. One observation is just in terms of operating the tractors, you might say, is that, or combines, whatever it is. I've seen some companies, they tend to get a new development and they stack it on top of their other components in a given program, and they keep stacking them and they don't cross-reference. You have to enter this parameter 3 different places because they've never streamlined their program. So that's an extension of that would be with the implements and so on. We need to have a program in the cab to make the implement work right. Can we come up with a commonized approach as much as the physical needs of the implement are, that you can, it's the same pattern, the same entry pattern, and how you get to it? Also talk the major manufacturers to accommodate that so they all kind of look the same. We've got 2 different systems. We used to have 3, so a little exposure to that. Anyway, thanks for...
Thank you so much for your question, Norbert. I can see your...
Yeah, I think I have to answer. I give to commenters. So thank you so much. A few years ago, I was asked, 6-7 years ago, I was asked on a conference like this, on a panel like this, hey, Isobus, I experienced plug and pray. Since this time, it was 2018, we did a lot. So to avoid this problem, the manufacturers should implement isobus in a way that they can test this, that they test the system, conformance test the system. That's what IEF offers as well, a conformance test for all isobus functionalities. And we guarantee when a conformance test is done successfully and connecting this machine with a conformance tested tractor, it should work. And that's what we are behind. But what we see these days, that not all manufacturers conformance test their implements and tractors. And that is, I will not say against the rule, AF rules. We would like to see it improved, but that's not up to us. We offer it, and it's up to the manufacturers to do the job, to avoid exactly what you just said.
Anyone want to add to that?
So I don't know if this directly answers the question, but just to add on to it, first of all, I can relate to your sentiments. I'm also a farmer as well, and I remember when we first got a tractor with a screen in the cab. It was for our big baler, and the first thing my grandpa did was say, I'm not running it, and if I do, I'm not touching that screen. And he'd hop in the machine and crank out 1,000-pound big bales when we're normally at 500, and he just wanted the hay bale. He didn't care, right? And so, but I think to your point, you know, when it comes to technology and data, it's all about making it easy. It has to be easy to use, easy to interpret, and easy to understand. And I think that there's a balance that all of us in the industry are working on kind of striking, in that we want to continue to be innovative and bring new solutions forward, but we have to do it in a way that makes sense and makes it easy for folks to use. And we're not perfect. We're still working on that, but that's why the work within AEF and other standards organizations is so important, so that we can do that.
How are we doing for time? We have time for another question up there. Okay. You have the...
Hi, my name is Taras Flajcik. I'm a researcher with Agriculture Canada. And though I'm not a farmer, but I deal a lot with the issues that you've been describing with the data interoperability. Like, we have different implements in my research program. Like, we have John Deere, we have Wintersteiger. And my question is, how do you guys, what are the technicalities? How do you make sure that, for example, the different files and extensions and proprietary files from different manufacturers, they will all work out together in that cloud that you're discussing about, or the central repository? So this relates a lot to me because, like, we pay subscriptions for proprietary software in order to operate those files, whether they're like yield data, whether they're different fertilizer application rates, and things of that nature. So, like, can you talk a little bit in more details how you make these different files, different data from different suppliers and manufacturers work together in one piece, in one place? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that question. That's a question that bothers us as well since a while. So looking into all these different standards and how to get this interoperability in place. So in AGCO, so in this data and space environment, we had to align on specific standards for the data exchange itself. And so we came up with a common piece of software that ensures that these two platforms can talk with each other. But this common piece of software, which is integrated in the platform of everyone, like a phone you have at home, you need first sometimes to get an adapter in place to lift your data to the standard we are using. And therefore, we are working first to broaden this information about the standard so that is more used on the other hand side, we work with Ag Gateway, and I see one of the colleagues sits just next to you. So they provide tools and software to transform data into the standards that we are using. And I guess it would be a little bit expert talk now to see which standards you have, but I'm looking forward to have also maybe a follow-up discussion on these things to see how these things can work out. Yeah.
And I'm good for a bit of dynamic. Ben, did you want to say anything about that? Can we put you on the spot?
Yeah, so I work with Ag Gateway. We do data standards implementation as well, similar to AEF, and we maintain an open source software toolkit that helps translate proprietary formats into the ISO standard. So it's more interoperable because a lot of legacy equipment out there hasn't yet adopted ISOBUS. So there's going to be this period where you have equipment not up to the needs of the standard. We help bridge that gap through kind of a similar open source collaborative group, and we're very involved with the Ag In project Slawi was talking about, and making sure some of that gets integrated in there.
Thank you. Good. Okay, I think we have time for another question.
Maybe if I can add something to the discussion. So we had this topic about autonomy, and we have now also this question towards these different formats, and that's what we are also facing now. We are coming from agriculture, so we have our data types and models, but we are facing now also these robots. Yeah? And robots are already out there, but they want to become part of the field operation. And the field operation, when we have the machinery in place, that even when we have ISOBUS and we have this data exchange between the machines, how to get these robots also become part of it. So when we look into autonomy, it's about an autonomous operation. We are less looking into an autonomous vehicle anymore, but really we want to get this job done. And then it's about having all these robots, these machines, these implements, all this equipment interoperable among each other so that you can define and plan an operation for the next days, and all the robots, the swarm and whatever can do the job. That's futuristic, I know, but we need to do the foundation now so that we can really enable it in the future.
So maybe just adding on that comment of building that foundation now, so there are a few academic members in the audience. Norbert, could you tell us a little bit about the relationship between academic members in the AEF?
Yeah, thanks for this question. Yeah, we have a free membership for academics, and we would like to see as many as possible here out of Canada joining the AEF. If you would like to join, please get in contact to me or on the AEF website. All information are on this, and we would like to welcome some of some universities or research institutes to our membership.
Perfect. Any other comments from the audience? Take last question. One. Okay. Two questions? Okay.
Hello, I'm a rainbow farmer. If I listen to you carefully, you will put a foundation down that the machine talks to the implement. And then if I use GPS, I can then make that someone that is not skilled can drive the equipment with the tasks that we have told the equipment to do. And that person is only there to make sure that the equipment doesn't hit anything or doesn't get off stream. Is that what you are aiming at? Like, I'm maybe not totally autonomous, but maybe you can have as you say, put the equipment in charge in the morning and tell them what to go and do.
So I'll take a stab and let anybody else add, but I think you know, to your point and what kind of that situation you outlined, what AEF does and then kind of what we're talking about up here is an enabler to that. There are technologies that you can implement within your machine today even to where you can do that, where, you know, it's kind of, you just hit a button and you're just managing the machine, right? But in order to do that, there's a lot of technology behind that. And so what AEF does is it kind of provides the backbone for all of that technology to come together, work together, so that when you send an operator out to the field to do that, they hit that button and everything works seamlessly.
Want to add, or do we want to, I think there's one last question, but feel free to add first.
Yeah, just add to that, and I think that's the goal. You know, that vision that's the goal, and there's a bit of work to get there. But certainly that is the goal. And the other piece of that too is machine-to-machine communication. So not only on these farms, it's not just the one piece of equipment, the seeder, that we want to do that, but we want to be able to share lines, share paths, and do and when you look forward and we talk about robots or swarms, that could be groups of machines in the field, right? And we want them to all be able to talk to each other. So that's the that's the goal, for sure.
So we have time for one last question. I think one last question.
So with technology getting more and more like advanced, like connected to GPS, if the GPS for seeding and that, like if that ever goes down the system, is there like a default back to like the old days you just do ground drive and you wouldn't have to worry about variable rate or any of that? Is there kind of a more simplified version for just hardening the industry?
Yeah, it's not a good question, and I'd say it really is kind of up to the manufacturers, right, to provide that. And I'd just say one thing, that as technology advances, there's these extra features that we want, right? We want to be able to not just apply a flat rate, we want variable rate. So, okay, manufacturer says, no problem, we can do that. And now we want section control. Manufacturer says, there's no problem, we can do that. And pretty soon we have this very, very complex system, right? And at the end of the day, and then if one thing goes wrong, we can't seed or harvest. And at the end of the day, that's critical. So I think manufacturers either are or should be aware of that there needs to be a fail-safe and a backup and a way to at least get the crop in the ground and the crop off. And I'd say that, a bit of that lies kind of with the manufacturer to make sure that's a priority. And as producers, make sure that you're telling your manufacturer partners, your dealer partners, like encouraging them, right? Like, guys, we need a backup here. We need a fail-safe. And then kind of the backbone of that too, I'd say if you bring all that technology back, ISOBUS really has that, if it's ISOBUS capable, that kind of brings it back to like a basic level, right? So, yeah, I'd say that. I'd maybe leave it at that.
Maybe.
Maybe also adding to that feedback, so also to this good question, when you look into machinery and it's getting more and more complex, we know about it. And so one of these goals is really to make it simple. The simplicity for the customer, for the farmer, for the operator comes with complexity in technology. We are also aware about this situation. So when we look into machines, for example, also our Eco Fleet fence have always this very simple mode. So we say this is for the seniors, those that don't want this technology. They can turn it off and still use the machine as they did 50 years ago. This technology can be disabled and you can still do it on your own. But you will also immediately recognize that this technology makes you more performant. And we are really working on making this resilient. Yeah. So to adding sensors, adding alternative connectivity. So really trying to make that work always in the field. We know that SATCOM device is becoming more popular to keep the connectivity up. So these are really topics that we take care about. So to make the life really easy and handleable so for the operator and the farmers.
I have one more comment on regards who is really responsible for all of that. What we are doing as AEF, that are the manufacturers. And we are working very close together as AEF with the manufacturers. We depend on them because AEF is a voluntary organization where people coming out of the manufacturers, working close together in working groups, in project teams, on a free basis. The manufacturers allow them to join AEF teams to going in one direction. Sure, we have to find compromises in some cases because the big players are the smaller ones sitting in one room. That's sometimes difficult, but that's what we are facing every day. And I can only invite you, if you're a member of or employee of a manufacturer, ask your manufacturer joining the AEF project teams, and I'm pretty sure you will have fun and can push forward your ideas for the whole industry.
And I think we have to wrap it up there. So I want to say thank you for that question because it's the perfect reflection of the theme. When we cooperate across industry, those types of challenge accelerate faster. Thank you very much for the great questions, and enjoy your lunch. Take care.